It's time. Okay. In the absence of the supervisor, I'm going to call this meeting to order. The first order of business is to appoint a temporary chairman for this meeting.
Clerk.
Okay, Mr. Bonner.
Move to appoint Clerk Christie as the chair of the meeting.
Support.
It's been moved by Trustee Bonrick, supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh, to appoint me, the clerk, as chairman for this meeting. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion carries. So could you all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by the Honorable Trustee Taylor.
Thank you, Clerk Christie. For today's invocation, I do not ask that you bow your heads, but if you choose to, raise them and look around you so that you may see the diverse, engaged people that you're surrounded by tonight. We too are a diverse board with different political, religious, and cultural beliefs that mirror our community. In representing such a diverse people, may we be guided by compassion, reason, optimism, and understanding. Amen.
Amen. Oh, Mr. Bonrick. Here. Ms. Taylor.
Here.
Ms. Kavanaugh.
Here.
Mr. Christie here. Ms. Kangas. Ms. Jackson. And
Here.
I said earlier, the supervisor is absent. That brings us to citizen comments. I'll give you one last chance to turn your citizen comment form into Tina. Before we get into it, I want to get into some ground rules. First of all, there is zero tolerance for profanity or vulgarity. You cannot talk like the president. No personal attacks. I may help you with the wording on that. You do not. Well, you can attack me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm a Marine. But you don't say you're stupid and what you did or your idea. There's no personal attacks tolerated. Also, this is not the Prime Minister's question time. Citizen comments are for the board to listen to comments from the citizens, and then if the board so chooses, the board can respond to your comments under announcements, and you can wait for their response until that time. You'll have 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, Tina will signal me and I'll ask you to finish your thoughts. What I'll do is, in order to move this along, I'm a member of the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, and about 2 years ago, we had citizen comments on the 94 Lodge proposal, and 3 minutes, and it took us an hour and a half. We were there an hour and a half listening to the citizens. Yeah. That's a good thing. So what I will do is I'll call somebody up, you're up, and then I'll call the person on deck. So you'll be in the vicinity of the lectern, and then I'll call the next person up that way. And when I call you up, if I forget, this isn't my regular job, chairing the meeting. If I forget to ask you, help me out and give your name and address for the record. So, Sergeant Dwayne Gregg, you're up on deck is Keith Jones. If you could get in the vicinity.
Good evening, Honorable Board. Sergeant Dwayne Gregg, and my address is on the I'm just here to talk about a couple events we have coming up in March. March 22nd is a busy day for Officer Mansfield and myself. At 8 a.m. we're going to have coffee with the cop at Glenhurst. And then At 7 p.m. at Thurston High School, our neighborhood watch meeting is going to be a very important topic. We're going to have a seminar on active shooter. It'll, the speaker coming in is top-notch on this. This is not a hands-on training or anything like that. This is a presentation. It's PowerPoint. The speaker is really, really well known and well versed on this topic. So we'd like to see a lot of people out for this one. We're using Thurston's auditorium because we are expecting a big crowd for that. Officer Mansfield and I are going to try and stay awake because we are both starting midnight on the 5th. Also, I'm giving up my duties as the traffic sergeant. I want to thank the board for the years I had working with you on all the special events, and Mr. Dennis and the rest of the township and committee members on the different committees. Throughout the remainder of my final year here, I will work on the special events still as part of the transition period. And that'll be a smooth transition. And then after that, you're going to see me walking around all these special events, enjoying myself. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Keith Jones, you're up. And Michael Sawyer, you're on deck.
Keith Jones, 9976 Lucerne. Sometime in the commencement of this meeting, we're going to be considering the hiring of a chief accountant. Well, during that time that you were looking for a chief accountant, we used a hiring process that it was published, there were candidates chosen, and there are other very important positions such as superintendent that you did not use a hiring process to hire somebody. And along the way, a week ago, we get a boil water alert that at 10:37 p.m. on the 22nd, we get a boil water alert, or no boil water alert at this time, and we're isolated from Livonia. And then time goes on. At 11:01, we declare a boil water alert. 28 minutes later, Livonia declares theirs. And then 5 hours later, we stop ours at Livonia, 57 hours to test their water. Lack of leadership, because you took away the person responsible to keep us safe. And now, there's a lot of people talking about low water pressure. Is our water safe? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Michael Sawyer, you're up. Captain Siegel, you're on deck.
Good evening. My name is Michael Sawyer. I live on Riverdale and Redford. For my entire life, I worked with a major company, and all I did was fire and hire. And over my many years of doing that, I never once walked up to an employee and started out as a clerk, but 30 years into the business, became a store manager, had a perfect record, and fired for no reason. Actually, I would have fired the person that fired him. So how do we fire this board? Well, my suggestion is that maybe Redford gets into the 21st century and we get on a ballot and elect ourselves to be a city and get a mayor. That puts an oversight to this committee. There was a lot of dishonesty in that video. There was people telling me my vote didn't matter, and I'm a veteran. We're not going to tolerate this. We're going to set up a social media platform. This is not going to be blown over and forgotten. On my own Twitter account, I've got responses from Chicago, Arizona, Detroit. Your little video has gone national. And we're going to keep it in the news, and hopefully we'll search out an attorney that's going to draw up the paperwork to turn Redford into a city and get us some oversight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slade. You're up. Name and address, please. And Mark Zerio, you're on deck.
My name is Catherine Siegel. I live at 11324 Farley in Redford. Good evening, board, and good evening, citizens of Redford. What I have to say isn't going to be a whole lot different than the feelings of a whole lot of people that I think have showed up tonight with this large number of people, just like the last special meeting that had a large number of people. Trustee Taylor, Trustee Kangas, Treasurer Kavanaugh, and Trustee Jackson, what you did at our last special meeting, in my opinion, was totally uncalled for. There was no call to publicly humiliate John Selmy. Sorry. I don't know him. I wouldn't recognize him if he walked up to me right now. But it could have been done just a few days before. There was a regular meeting. No reason to call a special meeting. The second item is the hiring of Don Wood to act as superintendent and to strip our elected supervisor, Tracy Koblars, from many of the tasks that we elected her to do. This isn't easy. It's really not easy standing up here.
I know.
To me, this was obviously a planned event by certain people. It's not right. It's not right. We didn't elect 4 of you to act like that. We elected you to represent us, the citizens of Redford Township. Third and last, it was my understanding that there was a budget meeting scheduled for 4:30 yesterday, Monday the 26th. May I? I arrived here at 4:25. I stopped at Treasurer Kavanaugh's office because that was the first office since I didn't see anyone. The girl there said she wouldn't know anything about that. I needed to go to the clerk's office. I then went to Clerk Christie's office. The first girl that I spoke to didn't know. She referred me to someone else who dug through some paperwork and then said that the meeting had been postponed. It was going to be tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I came downstairs, I looked out there where the meetings were supposed to be posted. Nothing. Went upstairs to Tracy's office / Don Wood's office, asked. The girl there didn't know. She said, hang on, I'll talk to Don Wood. Then she came out and she said, yes, it has been postponed. Well, as far as I know, it needs to be posted various places, and right out there is one of the places. And folks, it wasn't posted. Wow. I can't understand how this kind of stuff is happening. This is our Redford. I was born and raised here. I love it here. But what I'm seeing and what is happening just isn't right. I'm going to say this. Same thing I said 2 weeks ago, or with the exception of Clerk Christie and Adam Bonerick, if the election was held tomorrow, I know 4 people I would not vote for because in my personal opinion, I do not believe you were honest with the people that elected you. Thank you.
You're up. Bill Zerb of 19310 Northbourne, you're on deck.
Hello, name's Martin Zerial, live on San Jose. And since this is probably being televised, I'm going to do a little shout out to all those people living out in the woods somewhere. Since those are probably the only people that haven't heard in the last couple of decades the word transparency. It's a word that politicians have made up, and you hear them using it a whole lot. Never get a politician to nail down what it actually means, so of course I've come up with my own definition. And it probably has something to do with honesty or truth, integrity, justice, anything that might be on a Superman resume. And so I'm thinking as other people in the township, something happened a short time ago. And I think it had something to do with that meteorite that flew over. Of course, I'm the only one in the township that was in my basement and I didn't hear it, so I have to take everybody else's word of what actually happened. And, you know, it might have affected the people in the township. Shortly thereafter, township officials decided, oh my God, we gotta have this special meeting. We gotta have it tomorrow. We gotta have it at 3:30. And I'm thinking, what, 3:30? I'm sitting outside waiting for the school bus to come up to drop my daughter off. Which, since this is being televised, and it's been a long time since I've thanked these people again, but I would like to thank Tracy Kovalars and Diane Webb and John Selmy. They all came to my house, had a little picture of time with my daughter who had this great sign, rest in peace, Bumpy Road. Only person in Redford that did not want to see the roads paved in Redford Township, but those three individuals were very instrumental, and I will say, never said this publicly, John Selmy came to my house 3 times in a month. Brought the Wayne County Road Commissioner as well, top dog. They promised me that when they're finished, that a semi-truck would be able to turn around on the end of our road, let alone a school bus. And some other people were involved, some people in the school board and as well for South Redford. So I'm sitting there thinking, something is certainly strange. Now, for the people seated in front of me, you got a choice to make, and I'm hopefully it's a good one, because you're gonna have to convince these people here, hopefully, and anybody listening or watching this on TV, that the events that happened in the past, I think a good solid answer is going to have to come out, because the last thing I think you want is for people to be leaving this meeting tonight and saying, God, that Zeryl's answer about aliens or body snatchers doing something to our township officials, that is not an answer. You don't want those people going home and thinking that of our township officials. So it's either my explanation or hopefully one that you're going to give, and I'm hoping that for the sake of the township and the people here, that your explanation is better than mine. Thank you.
And thank you. Okay, Bill, you're up. Richard Marshall, you're on deck.
Bill Carroll, 19310 Norborn. Apologize if some of it's redundant, but I got my notes in order and I'm good at this topic. Anyway, on opening, I just wanted to make a comment that, everybody on the board made a comment about, the amazing turnout of the meeting. And personally, I believe, the short notice was purposeful in trying to keep down the, the size of the meeting, which obviously it didn't, but I would have been a lot more people had there been some decent notice. But anyway, I just wanted to, touch, on the resident turnout, the availability of willingness. You people are elected to represent the people and what they want. Via email or phone call or personal meeting, they expect you to bring it to the forefront. You couldn't get everybody in the township in one meeting unless you went to rent Ford Field or something. So therefore, big turnout you're not going to see unless it was a definite issue. And then on the last meeting, I think a lot of trust was broken with the residents. I was here personally, but the video, if it showed a split view, would show, especially when Mr. Bonner was talking, a lot of members were looking down and looking away. And even on the video, even though it doesn't pan out, you can see Kim's chair turning completely to the right, putting her back down, which shows a total disrespect as far as I'm concerned. She doesn't care what he else is saying, and she's not concerned, or the people he was representing with what he was saying, which to me, body language shows huge. And I don't see a group of people that are a team as one, and it's just hard. Trust is, everybody knows it's earned, and possibly you can gain back. That would take time. I don't know if it's possible, but it's just myself. That was my what I got out of it from that. Anyway, I'm gonna keep it short, and most people touched on what I wanted to anyway. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Richard Marshall, you're up. And on deck is Stacy Hunter.
Richard Marshall, 12951 Dixie. I watched the second part of the February 15th special meeting. I was picking up kids, missed the Don Selmy portion. I did see part of it. I have watched it completely since then. The two gentlemen asked if there was a legal opinion. Oh, mumble, 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 mumble. Nobody knew. The four ladies knew. McGarth and Adam didn't know. Kind of smacks that maybe the four ladies had a meeting that was private and might have violated the Open Meetings Act. You all had an agenda when you came here. I will say that when it became apparent that Supervisor Kovalars was seeking another job, you all knew. Did any of you approach her and ask her why? She served 2 terms with no issues, and in less than just over a year, all of a sudden she decides she wants to move on. Was it because of the contentiousness with the ladies involved here? Nobody knows. Only Tracy knows that. Maybe you ladies can enlighten us. When you decided to have the vote to appoint a superintendent, it's only going to cost the township $20,000. Okay, maybe next year you all decide we need a personnel department. So we hire another person for another $80,000, and that 20 becomes 125 with benefits. Before the vote, Ms. Jackson, you said that you were open to tabling it for further discussion, that you had been attending seminars about operating as a trustee. But as soon as the vote was called, you rolled over like Bernie Sanders after the Democratic Party screwed him. All right? Ms. Kangas, you talked about disrespect and Tracy looking for another job. Well, she had one. Were you not a school board elected official that you deserted that position to become a trustee? When you look in the mirror, do you see a hypocrite? Ms. Kavanaugh, you're watching the funds of the township. When you were initially elected, with your financial background, and God knows a lot of people have bankruptcies and foreclosures, but it costs a bonding company an additional $40,000 or $50,000 to get you bonded. And that has been published. I personally don't know it. I don't get to see those figures. But, you know, spending the township's money, it's only $20,000. Why don't each of you ladies write a check for $5,000? And where is Mr. Wood then? Wasn't at the meeting, the special meeting. He is not at this meeting. He doesn't have a presence on any social media, where at least Tracy tried to communicate with the township. And there has been a petition submitted to the Attorney General's office to try and recall you people, and I will donate to it and I will sign it.
Stacey Hunter, you're up. Bernie Brosnan, you're on deck.
Stacey Hunter, 20101 Beach Daily. I've lived in Redford my whole life, except for when I was in the service. What we here in Redford have recently witnessed, or rather did not witness, due to the sneaking, underhanded way it was done, was basically a coup d'etat. Something usually associated with seedy third world countries governed by dictators, not cities or towns within the United States of America. While it was a bloodless coup, it was a dastardly, disgusting, and damaging to our township. The will of the people, exercised by their democratically cast votes, was overthrown by this small group. The votes cast on November 9th of 2016 to elect Tracy Kovalars as their supervisor to run the day-to-day operations of their township have been cast into the Rouge River. If this board had issues with the day-to-day operations of the township, processes short of an overthrow are available, just as if Tracy had been hit by that proverbial bus we always hear about. and the township was without a supervisor, there are processes in place to keep the township running until a special assessment could be held to replace the democratically elected supervisor of this township. This body would be wise to quickly reflect on what they've done and realize the fools they've made of themselves, and return the duties of the running the township to the elected official that the township residents elected to do the job. Thank you.
You're up. Laura Sachs, you're on deck.
Ladies and gentlemen, board, my name is Brady Rossman. My address is 2782 Harvest Drive, Howell, Michigan. Some of you guys are probably wondering, gee, why is this guy from Howell here? And I'll tell you. I'm a retired lieutenant of the Redford Township Fire Department, and I also served as a union president for IFF Local 1206 for 5 years, and was a secretary for 5 years before that. My total career spanned decades, and I now represent the fire department retirees on the Retiree Healthcare Committee. Over those years that I worked here in Redford, I met and developed many close relationships with people, and some of those people now represent Redford residents on this board. A couple of weeks ago, this board voted to bring in a superintendent to manage the day-to-day operations of the township, as well as managing personnel issues. And as unpopular as this may be here tonight, I strongly support this. And let me explain why. First off, this isn't a new idea. Over the years that I was employed here, it was one of those concepts that was thrown around as something that the township should do. And it just never really seemed to take off. And however, and speaking as an employee, there were many employees that thought that it was actually a really good idea. The superintendent would be 100% accountable to the board. And this does not take away any of the authority of the board. In fact, it probably gives them greater authority. And you can look at many other communities that use a similar system and see how well it works. The superintendent would and could regularly update the board on all essential matters that the board that requires board action. And basically the board would set the agenda and the superintendent would make that happen. I think the benefits would, I think the employees would benefit as well. The superintendent would be a person who is contracted for a longer period, and as a union leader, you can develop a professional and trusting relationship with the superintendent. These are two qualities that are necessary for an effective problem solving and negotiations. I was involved in 4 negotiations with 3 different supervisors over the years, and it was very challenging to negotiate when you constantly had to work around the next election cycle. You could start negotiating a labor contract, and you get almost done to a done deal, and the next thing you know, there was an election, and there's a new board, and then things start to go sideways. And this happened twice during my time on our executive board. With the superintendent at the helm, both parties would know that there would be some consistency, and you would know what to expect. This is actually a really good idea, and I know that it's scary and it's a little different than what everybody's been used to, but personally I trust the people on this board, and I think they're going to make sure that this is done the right way, and then it's going to really benefit the township and the employees.
Thank you, Mr. Brosnan. Thank you. And on deck is Larry Kahn.
Good evening, and thank you for first off, I'm represent. Oh, I'm sorry.
Name and
Laura Sachs,
yeah.
and I represent the Redford Chamber of Commerce on 5 Mile Road. Thank you. I just want to speak of, we had our bowling extravaganza last Sunday for the Redford scholarships, and it was a huge success. Thank you everyone who participated, who donated, who bowled, and who had fun. Coming up April 19th is our police and fire awards, and June 22nd is our golf outing. And I would like to thank the board for being forward thinking to act upon things and not leave Redford Township in the lurch.
Thank you. Yeah, this will complete our citizen comments portion.
Good evening, board. Larry Kahn, 14337 Salem.
Just a full disclosure, I am on a commission here in Redford Township. It's called the Employee Civil Service Committee Commission. And the question I have is, Personnel Director Don Wood, he was appointed by the commission, the Employee Civil Service Commission. He interviewed for that job several others, and this was a little while ago. My question is, when he was selected to become the superintendent, why, since he reports to the commission, the Employee Civil Service Commission, why was there not notification to that commission to say, hey, we're taking your guy and we're going to make him this? Seems kind of strange. I mean, I had a job, and my boss, I report to him. It seems unlikely somebody else is going to come and say, oh, we're going to give you some more responsibilities, and without even letting your boss know exactly what's going on. It's kind of strange. Also, my understanding is the township attorney was consulted before this appointment was made. Again, since the Civil Service Commission was not notified, was there any conflict of interest, identified between the township supervisor or superintendent versus the personnel director? I mean, with regards to maybe budgets and other things. These are just questions that I have. The biggest conflict that I understand is what Bernie just said. The superintendent would report to the board. That's correct. Yet the personnel director reports to the Civil Service Commission. So, to me, that just seems like a conflict in itself. However, I don't know, because no one's been told what the lawyer had to say when he was consulted. Because I think you guys did mention that he was consulted, but they still went through anyway. So, those are the questions I have, and hopefully somebody will email me and get back to those commissions.
Earlier, I invite everyone to remain through the entire meeting. Our regular portion of the meeting doesn't look like it will take very long, and I invite you to stay for the announcements section, where board members will have an opportunity to address what you've said tonight in general, and in particular, if any board member wants to address your. Are you holding more?
There were two more. Didn't get a chance to look at tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, my earlier statements hold, but if they turn them in before the meeting, we'll have that. You're camera shy. You didn't want to get it. Okay. All right. Judy Neal. Right. No? Not here? I thought I did see her. She's on the left. Oh, okay.
Well, you said no. I thought you were done with citizen comments.
Well, I thought I was too, but I have camera shy staff.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you all. Thank you for allowing me to speak before the board. As you referenced, my name is Judy Neal. I'm at 8828 Riverview. I'm here maybe as a solo voice, although the gentleman from Howe kind of echoed some points that I'm here to make. Basically here to support the board, but also it is my hope, obviously expressing my support for whatever decisions that you have made, but with a specific ask and direction that as this issue and these issues play out, full disclosure will be made to the voting public as to why the decisions were made. And so I'm only here, I heard about it. I heard about it from trustees that are in Canton. I received a call from a council member out of Romulus, because I'm very engaged in community, in citizen education, and I'm getting calls from other communities about, hey, what's going on in Redford? Unfortunately, I could not attend based on the time, but it is my hope, because basically the board is a new board. I voted for most of you, and most of you ran on a platform of transparency and being advocates for the citizens of Redford Township. So I'm going to hold judgment. I will hold accountable, which most of you know that I am committed to that, but I am going to step back and hope that as this plays out in the days and weeks to come, we, the citizens of Redford Township, and I've been here almost 20 years, so I'm not new to Redford, although I wasn't born and raised here. I am committed to this city, to this township. So I ask of that, and when the time is right, that maybe call a special hearing where all of us can come and get the information we rightly deserve as citizens. Thank you for your time.
Sarah? Name and address, please.
My name is Rita Sarah. I am a resident of Novi. However, I was born, raised, and was a resident of Redford in my late 20s. And then, of course, I moved. I am now a vice president of the Union of Banks of Redford Township. I am also, as of 2011, a retired lieutenant in the Detroit Police Department after 25 years of service. My last assignment was in a task force comprised of multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, ATF, Michigan State Police, Wayne County Sheriffs, etc. There was many more, and our specialty, we were targeting gang crime in the city of Detroit, and that's what I did before I retired. I came to Redford a year after I retired. I got a part-time job as a code enforcement officer, which does not make me a very well-liked person in Redford. In fact, I've known several people here that I wrote violations to, so I'm sure they'd like to see me in the hallway after. But I just want to say, during my tenure as code enforcement officer, there were many problems that were evident that affected the revenue of Redford Township and the morale of the employees of where I worked at. And these problems were beyond the procedures and protocols that were in that department of which I worked. These problems were brought to the attention of the appropriate heads of the department, but to no avail. This was done numerous times, but fell on deaf ears. I then chose to leave that position. I'm now employed elsewhere in Redford Township at a lower paying cost job, and I now am working full time again because of the financial change. And I just want to say, because I know that it's not out in the open yet and everything's not come out what's going on, but I wish to commend the board members on the recent actions. I'm hoping that from your actions, you'll see a very dynamic change in the building department as well as the water department. And I think that the problems will be addressed, they'll be corrected, and I think you will see a dynamic change in how those departments are ran and the revenue that they go to receive. I think it's going to be quite epic. So I just wanted to commend you guys, because I kind of probably know a little bit more than these people here about this. I can't thank you enough. And I also will say this, there are many people that are working in those departments who have come up to me and have been very thankful, but are fearful to say anything because they're scared, which is, no one should be afraid to speak up. Nobody should be. And it's sad, but they're scared. They're scared to say anything, and they just come up to me and they're just like, this is the best thing ever. So I just want to commend you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll renew my invitation to you all to stay through the meeting and hear the responses from the board members. That brings us to the consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as follows. Minutes of the regular meeting of February 13, 2018. The warrant list of bills dated February 21st of 2018 in the amount of $3,552,433.59. Request of Redford Livonia Little League to hold their annual opening day parade with police escort on Saturday, April 1st, 2018, starting at 10 a.m. with parade route to begin at Gilbert Middle School, heading north on Kinlock to 6 Mile Road, then east to Beach Daly, then north Claude Allison Park, and permission to close 6 Mile from Kinlock to Beach Daly and Beach Daly from 6 Mile to Curtis. Receive and file second quarter investment earnings report July 1st, 2017 through September 30th, 2017.
been moved by Treasurer Kavanaugh. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Trustee Jackson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. That brings us to new business. Mr. Dennis is asking us to approve a contract for demolition of 2 residential properties. Mr. Dennis.
Clerk, the board. In front of you is a memo recommending the demo of 2 properties that we purchased in August 2017 from the Wayne County auction. The properties, one is on the 20,000 block of MacArthur, the other one's 15,800 block of Winston. We went out to bid for these contracts last month. We received 5 bids back. The lowest bid, most qualified bid, came back an amount of $29,830 from Universal Consolidated Enterprise in Roseville. We have done work with this company in the past, and you should have no problems with this contract.
What's the pleasure of the board?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
I just had a question for Director Dennis. Mike, when we acquire these properties that are so bad that need to be demolished, is there any way, how do they get so bad? Do we not inspect them as they transfer hand to hand during sales, that they continue to downslide that scale to where they're just not salvageable?
Well, the house on MacArthur was actually a tax auction from 2015 that someone purchased and did nothing with the home. The township did board it up, and we had to wait until it came through the cycle again for 2017. The township does not have an ordinance. We do not inspect homes when they sell. It's not something that we do. That's done through the private side. There are quite a few communities that do not do that. That's a private sale, and not public. The house at 15891 Winston, I think, was occupied up until a few years ago, and then sat vacant, and then it reached the tax foreclosure list in 2017. So it's been on the list, and then when it was included on the list in 2017, we did ID those houses for demo at that time.
Thanks. I just assumed that houses that went up for sale had to be inspected to make sure they were up to code. I didn't realize it wasn't a requirement, that was a personal requirement.
On a sale, no, but when a home is vacant, the township does an inspection on a vacant property. Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else from members of the board? Treasurer Kavanaugh.
Mike, is there anything in particular that that the demolition has to do? I know that cost is a little higher than usual, but I mean, is there anything in particular that hiked the cost a little bit?
Yeah, the house at Winston has quite a bit of caulking and asbestos in the home. Yeah, that property cost up.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from members of the board? Members of the audience, do you have questions for Director Dennis? And the chair will entertain a motion.
To the chair.
Trustee Bonner.
I move to approve the contract for the demolition of 2 residential properties at 20443 MacArthur, tax ID 79-003-03-0153-300, and 15891 Winston, tax ID 79-015-01-1220-000, in the amount of $29,830 to Universal Consolidated Enterprises via the SNAP program CDBG.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Trustee Bonner, supported by Treasurer Kavanaugh, to approve Director Dennis's request to demolish residential properties in MacArthur and Winston. We should include the amount of $29,830. That should be part of the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. That brings us to the appointment of Kathy Anderson to the Historical Commission. Is Kathy here to? Okay. Would you like to address the board?
Sure.
Tell us about your love for history.
I'm born and raised in Redford. I've never left. And I had no idea that Redford had a historical commission until I met back at the Business Expo in November, so she's to blame for this. She
told me about the history of Redford, and I loved it. I wanted to know more, and I feel like I can contribute to the museum's growth. I love organization, and Mac showed me what needs to be done, and I'm excited. I'm motivated, I'm energetic, and history to me is like putting a puzzle together. You keep finding pieces that fit, and I'm looking forward to finding the pieces of the Redford Township puzzle. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, does the board member want to appoint her to the historical committee?
To the chair.
Okay, I'll go with Trustee Taylor.
I move to approve the appointment of Kathy Anderson to the Historical Commission for a term ending 2/27/21.
Support.
Then moved by Taylor, supported by Bonrick, that we appoint Kathy Anderson to the Historical Commission. Is there any further discussion from the, yeah? No, we haven't, we're still discussing. That's why I'm asking for any further discussion from members of the board.
To the chair.
Ms. Jackson.
I would just like to say thank you for being willing to serve. I know Mac is quite happy to have another member on the board. So thank you for that.
Board members, audience.
We love you, Kathy!
Okay, all those in favor of, all right, all those in favor of appointing Kathy Anderson to the Historical Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the appointment of our chief accountant. Director Wood, to address that?
Good evening, Honorable Board. Yeah, the item before you is a requested action to appoint Jacqueline Harper as chief accountant. Position, as you see in the material that you have, is an appointed position, therefore is required to be memorialized to an employment agreement in between the township and Ms. Harper. So this is the same format we've used in the past. A cover memo announcing the candidate, what the process is for the board to act. A search summary indicating advertised sources, number of applicants, what the search committee was, and so forth. The actual employment agreement itself, which is the standard agreement. There's nothing in there any different from the other appointees that we've had since the time I've been here. I've also provided you a copy of the resume. Last time we had an appointee, there was a request to provide resume information. So with that, I would ask that the board approve the action. We'll answer any questions or comments. I also have Ms. Kelly Rao here, our finance director, to whom this position will report, and also as part of Clerk Christie's operation in finance. So if those two would like to say something, great. If not, okay. Other than that, we'll take your questions or comments.
I just, after thorough research on 5 candidates, I believe that Jacqueline Harper will fit in quite well with Redford Township. Thank you.
Okay, as Director Wood pointed out, that the finance director is the clerk's responsibility, and I was on the search committee, and we got a number of very good candidates this time over the years when we were trying to find a finance director. We came up short a couple of times, and that's why Katie Farber served as the interim finance director for about 2 years. This was quite different. There were 5 very good candidates. This candidate, one thing that sticks out in my mind is she's a piano player. She has a music background, which I know Mr. Bonrick will appreciate, and I appreciate as well. I was tuba player through college. I think that's a plus. So is there anything else from members of the board?
To the chair.
Yeah, Mr. Bonner.
As superintendent, I'm just curious, I'm only asking because she's local, was she not able to be here tonight?
Right, I believe she's out of town. She severed with her prior employer.
Well, with that, I would move to approve the employment agreement between the Charter Township of Redford and Jacqueline Harper effective March 14th for the position of chief accountant with a biweekly compensation of $2,384.62.
Second.
It's been moved by Bonner, seconded by Jackson, that we approve the employment agreement with Jacqueline Harper. It's our chief accountant, earning $2,384.62 bi-weekly. Any further discussion? Members of the audience?
Bi-weekly, is that twice a week or is that twice a month?
Every 2 weeks.
The annual salary is $62,000.
Is that total salary or is there benefit package on top of that?
Director, that was 62.
$62,000 plus the appointee benefits package, healthcare, pension, leave time, the standard, which actually most townships employees receive.
Okay, if nothing further from the board or the audience, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. That brings us to announcements from the board. Who would like to go first?
To the chair.
Treasurer Kemp.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have one more day to pay your taxes before it goes to Wayne County. We will be open down at the Leo Snage building. We will be open till 5:00 p.m. in order for people to come and pay their taxes. By March 1st, everything will be transferred to Wayne County. That's it.
Okay, anything, any other board member?
To the chair.
Trustee Taylor.
Okay, so let me just start by saying that I am completely aware of how that meeting looked on Thursday. If I were sitting where you're sitting, I'd be saying and doing the exact same things you're doing. That's what made me run for trustee back in 2016, wanting to get involved and wanting to make a change. So, believe it or not, I applaud everybody that showed up tonight to voice their opinion, because that's part of the process. So is getting involved, so is running for office. So I highly encourage you, if that's your passion, follow it. That's what I did. Secondly, the Connection did reach out and ask for an article to be written, which I did write an article for the Connection. It'll be out on Friday, and it explains the process, why the special meeting, about closed sessions, addressing concerns regarding the OMA, everything about the how we did it. And what I can tell you is that we did everything by the letter of the law within the state statute and within the regulations of the OMA. Trust me, I keep an OMA handbook on my desk. I am not ignorant to the process, despite what some people may think. As to the why, there are still some certain issues that can't be revealed publicly as of yet. I'm going to thank Judy Neal for holding judgment and being patient for those answers to come forth, and they will. They are just not answers that we can give at this time. But if I can ask for your patience, I know I have no right to, but I do ask for your patience, and know that, trust me, nobody wants the whole complete story to come out, I think, more than us after what we've been through in the last couple of weeks, and it will. Just please be patient and know that there is a process in place, and it will happen. And read the article, and if you have any questions, my email is on the Township website. Reach out.
Ms. Kangas? And then Ms. Jackson.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor, for clarifying that for everybody. I know we appreciate this. So there are some questions, and Clerk Christie said that during announcements we could address them. Somebody may have some questions about the water. The water that we had that was discolored for a period of time was due to routine fire hydrant testing, and there was nothing wrong with our water. Our water department was confident of that. We did have a business that was affected and affected their product, so out of consideration for them, we rush tested the water, and it came back in a short turnaround free of contaminants. It was safe. That is why the boil alert went on, because we were waiting for the test results, and the boil alert went off because it came back uncontaminated. So there was nothing, our building department, our water department followed proper protocol, and our water department was in contact with our supervisor over the whole issue the whole time. So everything was followed according to processes and procedures. So I want to make sure that there's no worry or concern there.
Will you clarify to me the timing of the boil alert? It happened not too long after Livonia put a boil alert out due to the collapse up by Schoolcraft and Inkster. Are you saying to me that our alert, which went on like at 1 o'clock in the morning, was the result of a testing of a hydrant? Is that what you're saying?
It was precautionary because we were waiting for the test results to come back, and when the test results came back, there was no contaminant. And our discolored water was not related to what Livonia was going through.
The timing.
Are there any further announcements from the board? You know, the citizens got their portion of the meeting. And this is not Prime Minister, we don't have Prime Minister's question time. You know, it's not like England or Canada. This is a township board meeting. So I don't want this to go too far sideways. Are there any other? Usually it's the chair that recognizes people.
I just also want to thank Reed Sarah for stepping forward and speaking some of the issues, and it was really nice to have somebody come forward and understand what's going on. So, that's it.
Are there other comments from the board? Ms. Jackson.
To address the gentleman regarding he was saying let's wait for a legal opinion, and then I voted to terminate the contract of Director Selby. Had that motion passed, all I had to do was say pending legal opinion, and I still would have voted the same way. But I echo some of the, in fact, most of the comments that Trustee Taylor said. There are extenuating circumstances that we are not at liberty to discuss at this time. And I can assure you there is no one more anxious than we are for us to be able to tell the entire story. But unfortunately we can't. We just ask that you be patient. We can explain our actions, and we can explain the timing.
To the chair.
Mr. Bonner.
Well, we got to go all the way around, right? I just want to say, of course, first, thank you again to all of you who came out this evening. It was great to see so many of you here. When I pulled into the parking lot, I know the building had not been opened yet, and just this swarm of people waiting on the steps, and it was just really great to see that, though I apologize that the building was not open yet. I too have been contacted by many people. I've heard from elected officials in Ohio, in Texas, in Minnesota. I was contacted last week by a graduate student in Washington, D.C. who wants to use our special meeting from February 15th as the basis of a term paper. As Mr. Zerial said earlier in his comments to the board, It is very unfortunate that this type of matter is what has gotten Redford Township national attention. And in the 2 weeks since, the information to the board has still been very slow in coming. I know for myself, I still have not seen the supposed legal opinion that was referenced. I have spoken to our attorneys. There is conflicting information, and I know that there is still more to come. So I echo what my fellow board members say, in that I am really looking forward to seeing this being resolved and being fully brought to light. But I would just leave you with one final word of caution, which is to always remember to only believe half of what you read. Thank you.
Anything else from members of the board? If not, I'd like to weigh in, Mr. Khan, and answer your questions about the possible conflict of interest. Our attorney is currently looking into that. Also, I'd like to tell you all that I don't use a spokesperson. Never have. Haven't had trouble speaking my mind. So tonight, you can hear it from the horse's mouth right now. My skirmishes with Tracy have been too often and sometimes very intense. After one skirmish, my staff took me to St. Mary's Hospital. Half my face was swollen up. Why? I never found out. Another time, I ushered her from my office. She was irate, stormed into my office. She had no business being in there, and I'm an usher at church, so I'm adept at ushering people, and I ushered her from my office. I very enthusiastically campaigned for someone else for a supervisor. It's Patricia Kennedy right here. If you would have elected her, we wouldn't have had these problems. She didn't make it. She won Tracy won the election. I'm very concerned about the process that was followed by 4 members of this board. I pleaded with the people who called that special meeting on 24 hours right up until before that meeting. I asked them, postpone this until a regularly scheduled meeting. And my plea fell on deaf ears. What we have now could be, there are merits to the superintendent form of government. There's no discussion. And by their actions, they've taken the legitimacy away from what they did, because they did it with such stealth. What are we left with? Are we left with department heads who feel that they are only responsible to 4 board members? 4 board members can get whatever they want. And there are a couple people in the audience, well, they've left, but there are a couple people in the audience that told me, Garth, watch out. They're coming after you next. With that, is there any further business to be brought before this board? If not, this meeting stands adjourned.